We're down to the Elite Eight, NFL Divisional Round preview and picks, as well as our best bets. You don't want to miss it, so stick to the end of the video. But as always, drop your predictions in the comment section below. Let's go. Amir, it's episode 350. And before we get into this divisional round, which has a lot of great games on it, how are you doing? And welcome to the show.
I'm doing good, man. I'm extremely nervous about this game. I've sat and I've thought about this specific game up on the screen, and this can go in an avenue of about 100 different ways.
Yeah, I think I know where you're gonna go with it, so I'm gonna try and be a little bit different, but we'll talk about that in a moment. The 13-5 Buffalo Bills went into Wild Card Weekend and got a very impressive win as underdogs. This weekend they look to do the same. This time they're going into Mile High to take on another one of the league's best defenses, but this time it's different. The Denver Broncos coming to this game, in my eyes, with a better roster, a better coach, 2 weeks to prep, and they have revenge on their mind. Let's not forget these teams met in Wild Card Weekend last year, and the Bills had their way. I'll leave it at that. So Denver has all of these things going for them, and on top of the fact that they have a top 10 offense, a top 2 defense, they're 8-1 at home. The only loss they had came late in the season. Amir, I think I'm leaning towards Denver. Call me crazy, but the biggest wild card in all of this is the fact that Josh Allen is Josh Allen and he can single-handedly win them this football game. Your thoughts on this one initially?
So, I was leaning towards Buffalo, and I may have had a change of heart. I might choose Denver. I'm still going to stick with Buffalo for now. And the biggest thing that really concerned me was Tyrell Shavers being out, and then Gabe Davis being out, and the fact that Buffalo they currently have three receivers healthy on roster
Yeah.
right now. And so
Hey, I love Khalil
now
Shakir
seriously, it's Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman.
and Brandon
You have
Cooks.
right, you have old man Brandon Cooks, and now they're going to elevate Curtis Samuel off IR, and this is extremely concerning to me. But I would say the reason why I'm leaning towards Buffalo is because one, I'm concerned about Denver's offense. I mean, they already don't run the football that well, and that's quite literally Buffalo's biggest weakness. So I think they'll be able to somewhat slow their run game down. And also, too, man, I love what I saw from that pass defense last week. And I've been extremely critical on Sean McDermott. I've been extremely critical on this pass defense for the entire season, even though they've been first ranked overall this season. But this is an even easier matchup, in my opinion. I mean, they're already used to playing in the cold, so that really isn't much of a factor. And so now they're going to go against a Denver team in which, even though I mean they were on a crazy win streak, and even though it says they're a top 10 offense, I mean their offense has not looked good. Bonus hasn't looked
No.
good. They've been extremely up and down, even in their 10-game win streak. I mean they're all basically within one possession games. I believe 10 of their 11 last games or I think 9 of their 11 last games are all within one possession, I believe, something crazy like that. And so I'm extremely concerned about Denver's offense, and I think this is going to be a lower scoring game. I think this is going to come down to the fourth quarter, and I can see Josh Allen getting over the hump this week. The issue is next week for me, but as of now, I'm going to take Buffalo, not by much. This game is going to be nasty.
I figured you'd go Buffalo. I mean, you love Josh Allen. And that's why last week, hey, we agreed on all the games. This week, I'm going to be different. I'm going to take Denver at home. I think, again, better coach, rowdy environment. They got to play in elevation for Buffalo, which, yes, they are used to playing outside, but elevation is different. So that will be a challenge for Josh Allen. But like you mentioned, sometimes Josh Allen can just do it himself. And the Denver Broncos don't really have a player like that. But logically speaking, Amir, you're a collegiate defensive back. Let me know, like, am I just thinking of it in too much of a Madden sense where I think that they can just put 8 in the box and man up these Buffalo wide receivers, pretty much stopping the run and forcing Josh Allen to throw down the field against Pat Surtain to Brandon Cooks?
So if I'm Denver, I'm on a lot of man-to-man coverage. The only issue I would say is the way teams have moved the ball on Denver this year is targeting tight ends and running backs. In Buffalo, they have three good running backs and they have three good tight ends. And so that's why, for me, I think Buffalo, they're in a more advantageous spot to win this game than last week. And last week, I was extremely impressed with Buffalo's defense. Extremely impressed. I mean, they had a way tougher matchup. They They played against an even better receiving core, even better quarterback, even better run game, and they created 2 turnovers. Tre'Davious White looked like he was an All-Pro again. That was nuts. I mean, old
Yeah,
man
yeah,
Tre'Davious White had
he
like
had a lot
three
of big
pass
plays.
breakups.
Yeah.
Seriously, I mean, Cole Bishop was looking like prime Eric Weddle. It was insane. And so I just think, for Denver, they're going to run a lot of man-to-man coverage, which, that's what I would do. But also another big point too, I just don't see James Cook and his offensive line getting dominated up front in back-to-back games. I think it's going to be a heavy James Cook game. I could
Yes,
see him getting
has
a
to
lot
be.
of carries. Um, and that's why later on when we touch on our on the double up parlay, I'm going to make an adjustment, put James Cook in there.
I definitely agree with that. It has to be a big James Cook game, especially with the injured wide receiver room. Let's go to Saturday night. We have the San Francisco 49ers, who got a big upset win in Wild Card weekend against the Philadelphia Eagles. Amir, you predicted the Niners, then you changed to the Eagles. I know that's got to sting a little bit, but still, we are both very high on this team. We both have continued to say throughout the season it's NFC title game or it's miss the playoffs. Kind of a cycle that Kyle Shanahan does with the San Francisco 49ers. Like I mentioned, impressive win last week. They come into this game as a very good road team, but also it's a rubber match. They met all the way back in week 1. San Fran had their way. They met a few weeks ago there in week 18. Seattle had their way. Both of those wins came on the road. Now San Francisco goes back to Seattle to face the 12th man, and Seattle's had 2 weeks to rest. They have a very good head coaching and just coaching staff in general, and maybe the best defense in the game. Amir, which version of the Seahawks do you think we get in this one? Do you think we get the version we saw in week 1, where they didn't really figure a lot of things out? Or do you think they continue to dominate, especially against a team now in the Niners that is without George Kittle?
This is going to be a tough matchup for San Fran. Kyle Shanahan was arguably my coach of the year this year. I just think as a coach, he's a mastermind when it comes to going ahead and just scheming up, no matter the matchup, no matter who they're playing. The biggest issue that I have is the Niners defense. They're still extremely young, and we've touched on this the past couple of weeks. Last week they looked great, but Philly's biggest struggle was their offense, and they low-key dodged a bullet in that last drive by Patullo, calling some of the worst play calls we've ever seen. And
Yeah,
this week, that's just not going to happen. And both teams are on the other side of history right now. First San Fran, we always bring it up. The past 25 years, they're their boomer bust. They're their NFC Championship or missing the playoffs. And for Seattle, I was doing some research and I came across this crazy stat. Outside of 2020, where there were literally no fans in the crowd, Seattle hasn't lost a home playoff game in 20 plus years. That's nuts.
yeah.
And so, I mean, you have two teams who are, trying to extend history, but Seattle, what they did to San Fran week 18, they dominated them, on the ground. They barely even had to throw the ball, really. And it's like, I just don't see an avenue in which Kyle Shanahan is going to be able to scheme up plays with Demarcus Robinson, a banged up Ricky Pearsall, and Jawan Jennings is also dealing with the plethora of injuries and without George Kittle. And they already can't really run the football that well this season. And so it's going to be a tough matchup. I think Seattle wins this game.
Yeah, if George Kittle was healthy, I think this would be more of a conversation. I think I might even lean towards San Francisco if Kittle was healthy because Kittle can just have one of those give me the ball, get out the way kind of a game. But without him, again, it makes it very tough. If Kittle was going for this game, if he was playing for San Fran, would that change your opinion at all, Amir?
Yeah, it definitely would. And I think the spread is at like -7 for
Yeah, it's a
Seattle.
7.5 point spread for Seattle.
And that spread, it could possibly be a bit much. But even with George Kittle, I mean, this is a tough matchup, and we
It
keep
is.
on bringing how statistically and historically this is like a high level Seahawks team, and this is a bad matchup all around.
Yeah, they are. I think we brought it up last week. They're one of the 6 teams in Super Bowl history, Super Bowl era history, to be number one on offense and defense in DVOA. The previous 4 of the previous 5. There we go. Went on to win the Super Bowl. The only team that didn't was the Ravens from a few years back, which Mike McDonald, the current coach of the Seahawks, was on that Ravens staff. So obviously he's a very good head coach. But I think we're both rolling with Seattle here. Sam Darnold just does he does just enough, and they take advantage of that poor and young Niners defense. Let's move to Sunday. The Houston Texans have won 10 straight games, and they might have the best defense in football. They're going to New England to take on Foxborough and the New England Patriots, potentially the MVP of the league in Drake May. The Patriots are coming off of a dominant wild card weekend win. The Texans, well, they were dominant in the second half, and I'll leave it at that. They are in that ugly game against the Steelers. The same questions I had last week, Amir, are the same questions I'm going to have this week. Can D'Amico Ryans, as a defensive-minded head coach, get after Drake May with this dominant pass rush? Give him a bunch of different looks on the back end, confuse him, and as cliche as it may sound, I think if the Texans want any chance to win, it's going to have to be their defense that makes those game-changing plays, whether if it's some turnovers or some special teams plays. I think the Texans, in order to get a win here, they're going to need it. Same can be said about the Patriots because neither offense is really that explosive. Amir, your thoughts on this matchup? Who are you going with? Because it could just be another rock fight here. Very low scoring affair.
So my biggest issue is the Texans offense. I've said it like for the past 3 weeks, their offense is stalling a lot. And a lot of that has to do with Stroud. A lot of it has to do with their offensive line having a lot of struggles. And last week, people that did not watch that game, it was 30-6, but that game was ugly. That was a ball game. But the Texans had a fumble six, and then Rodgers kind of threw something up, and it was a pick six
Yeah.
for his final career play. But that was the ball game against a Pittsburgh offense that can't score, against a Pittsburgh offense that is absolute garbage. But the difference is this week, the Patriots can actually score. They can run the football. Drake May is statistically the best deep ball passer in the league. And even though Houston's defense, is great, Drake May can score. And also, too, the Patriots defense clears that Pittsburgh's defense. They can stop the run. They can run man to man, just like Houston does. They can create turnovers. They can get after the passer. And so I've been seeing Stroud stall these past 3 to 4 weeks. I think it happens this week as well. I think the Patriots win at home here.
Yeah, I think the Patriots with their run game will eventually wear down that Texans defense because Christian Gonzalez is going to have Nico Collins in a box. And then at that point, it's like, do you trust the Houston
Yeah.
Texans offense with a quarterback that's been struggling to protect the football and Christian Kirk to go out there and beat the Patriots on the road?
Yeah,
I don't like their
yeah.
odds.
And I mentioned too, Nico Collins is still in concussion protocol.
Yeah.
I mean, like he's still not even clear, and so if he
Well,
doesn't play, they're definitely
they're going
losing.
to give him some something. He's going to play. Well, we'll leave it at that. I think we're both taking the Patriots to roll at home, and let's move to Sunday night. I want to throw this out there. This has no impact on the game. I'm just a Sean McVay fanatic. He's my favorite coach of all time, and I always see these stats, and I want to throw this one out there for you guys at home. Sean McVay has now coached 15 career playoff games for as the head coach of the LA Rams. Going into this weekend, it will be his 15th different opponent. That seems like almost impossible. But the LA Rams come into this game at 13-5 with the number one offense in football. And they squeaked by Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers last weekend. Shout out to Colby Parkinson because he really saved that game. Now, the Bears, on the other hand, they also squeaked past their opponent as they had to score 25 points in the fourth quarter just to get past the Green Bay Packers. The Bears cannot start that slow this weekend. But I think what's going to save them is the weather, Amir. As of right now, it is projected that at the time of kickoff, it's going to be negative 10 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's going to feel a lot colder than that. It's pretty much going to be an ice bowl. It's going to be one of the coldest games in NFL history. So with that in mind, the LA Rams are a dome team. And though on paper I think they have the better coach, the better roster, the far better quarterback, they are not going to be comfortable in this weather. Where the Bears in Soldier Field in front of a home crowd, despite having flaws on their defense, this is a team that's going to be more accustomed to the weather that they're going to be playing in compared to the LA Rams. Amir, I want your thoughts on this game because I think the weather and the fact that they're home really could give us a big upset here.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards the Rams on the road, but this is a game where I might end up switching before the game. I love the Bears' run game. I love their rushing attack. I think both defenses aren't very good. The only thing the Bears do really well is forcing turnovers for the Rams. Up front they're really good. The pass rush is good. The run defense is good. But for the Bears, for Ben Johnson, for this running back duo, they've been able to run on almost anybody this season,
Yeah.
and that's concerning to me when the weather is freezing. If the Bears can run the football, which they've been able to do that against some of the best run defenses in the league, and you have Stafford, where last week he did not look really good. McVay is a good offensive mastermind, but the Rams, they're heavily reliant on throwing the football. If they
Yeah.
can't throw the football and the weather's too freezing and it's the ice bowl, they're gonna have a hard time because their defense is not gonna be able to just go ahead and just deal with the Bears running the football 30 plus times. It's gonna be a tough matchup. And so I'm gonna lean towards the Rams just because of Sean McVay. I trust him a bit more, but this is a major upset game. Major upset.
I agree. And I think this is going to be a big Kyle Monungai game. So shout out to draft coverage before the season because he could be the X factor in this game for the Chicago Bears because he's a bowling ball and he's going to be very tough to tackle in freezing weather there in the second half of this game. But I do want to say if you are a Bears fan and you want to go with the Bears in this one, Ben Johnson, he was, in Detroit. He's had a lot of success against the LA Rams as far as moving the football and putting up a lot of points against Chris Shula and the defense, of course, here in LA. So if the weather clears up a bit, the Bears could obviously still have a very good chance of winning this game in the air because, again, Ben Johnson knows how to get after the LA Rams and this defense. But I'm going to go with the Rams because they were my preseason favorite, and I'm sticking with it. Now, for me, my final four would be this. It would have the number 2 seed Patriots going to the number 1 seed Denver Broncos. I know it's chalky, but that would be a very weird AFC title game. One that I don't think we would have predicted before the season. Much reminds me of like 2015 when Brady and Manning were going at it. And then in the NFC, we have the LA Rams at the 5 seed going to Seattle for a rubber match there in the NFC title game. A lot of good defenses in this picture. But if I had to pick a Super Bowl favorite, I'm still going with the Rams because they were my preseason favorite, and I'm sticking with it because that's my favorite coach of all time. And why not? Just early predictions. Let me get that Sean Super Bowl. Broncos, Rams. I'm here for it. My 2 favorite coaches. Now let's go to Amir's side. Amir has a bit of a different picture as the Buffalo Bills will get a big time win in Mile High. Now, at this point, they would have beaten the very good Jags defense, and then they went into Denver to take on the very good Broncos defense. Now you're going to go 3 weeks in a row into Foxborough to set up a rubber match where the road team has won both times in the regular season against the Patriots. NFC looks the same here. Amir, as of right now, these aren't official predictions. Give me your Super Bowl and how you see it playing out. Maybe who comes out as the favorite as of right now.
So I think rookie Drake May takes down Buffalo and he's going to the Super Bowl. I think no matter what, I think at this stage, the injuries for Buffalo are way too much. I think for Denver, with how inconsistent their offense is, and I think from just the consistency of New England, no matter the talent, no matter, Mike Vrabel has been amazing. I think they make it out the AFC. And for the NFC, I think Seattle makes it. I think the Rams, it's an avenue in which they could lose this week. And I think next week, they could also struggle against Seattle. I mean, because the Rams, they haven't really looked that good
Yeah.
ever since that game against Detroit. I don't know why. I think it's just, just like some chemistry issues, just like really just like some cultural, mental issues because the talent is there. We know how good they are. But I just think Seattle's that dominant, man. And I think it's going to be Seattle New England Super Bowl, and I think Seattle wins it all.
Yeah, that's interesting because we had 2 very different Super Bowls, and I would like to see either. And that's the beautiful thing about this year is the parity and so many different matchups that can happen. And many of them are things that we didn't expect before the season. But let's go. Last week we were both 4-2. Amir should have been 5-1. But hey, on the season we're tied, and this week it's gonna come to an end because Saturday, first game, I have Denver at home. Amir's rocking with Josh Allen, potentially the best player in the league, on the road to take down the
He is.
Broncos
He
for the
is.
second
He is.
year in a row. They're in the postseason. Sorry, what were you saying?
I say he is. He is the best.
Over Mahomes?
I mean, Mahomes isn't playing next year, so as of now, he is, in my opinion.
I don't know. I'm still going Burrow. Now on Saturday, we have Seattle, New England, and the Rams. Moving on, that's just a quick snapshot of what we just went through. Now, what I want to do is I want to go through our power rankings, and we do these a bit differently. This is not necessarily based on how they've looked strictly. This is a combination of how they've looked so far this season to this point, but also how confident are we in the fact that they can go and win the Super Bowl. So we took into account their path and how they're playing. Who do we think can go win it all? As of right now, I think the Chicago Bears are at number 8. Yes, they are a potential upset candidate this weekend, given the fact they're at home and the weather's going to be in their favor. However, I don't think they beat the Rams, let alone going on and beating the Seattle Seahawks. So the Bears are at number 8. The Bills, they're at number 7 because you have Josh Allen, and I respect him that much that he is Superman, and he can single-handedly go out there and win this team the Super Bowl. I think they can honestly beat the Broncos this weekend, but obviously I didn't pick them. The Texans at 6, the Patriots at 5. They match up this weekend. Two very good defenses, but I have questions about each offense as far as beating some of the other top dogs in the league. So that is my 5 through 8. My top 4 goes as follows. Behind our face cams, I have the Denver Broncos. I believe in their defense, and that's why they're at number 4. I also love their coach. So as long as Bo Nix protects the football, they're going to have a chance in every single game. The Niners are at 3 simply for this reason, and I think I forgot to mention it earlier. Yes, they just lost George Kittle, but if you're telling me that they went into Philly, beat Philly, then they go into Seattle, beat Seattle, then they go to the NFC
Hmm.
title game, let's say they play the Rams, a team they've beaten this season pretty handily, mind you, I think they would have all the confidence in the world, and Fred Warner, their best defensive player, would be back for that game. So they're going to be getting healthy at the right time outside of George Kittle. So they're still in my top 3. I think anybody in this NFC West is going to win the Super Bowl this year. And number 2 is the Seahawks. Of course, we talk about them in recent weeks. They're one of the most dominant teams in the league. And selfishly, I was high on them all season. And the Rams are at number 1 because of all the reasons we've already mentioned. Let's go to Amir. Amir, you have the Broncos all the way down at number 7. That's a big difference in our list here. You also have the Bills 2 spots higher than where I have the Bills. Run us through this bottom 4.
So I think by far Chicago is the worst team left in the playoffs. I think if they play any other team, it's a bad matchup for them. And Denver at 7 is the one that's a bit iffy. I think Denver, out of every team in this list, they could be moved more than anybody.
Yes.
They've sat a week. You've seen them consistently just win games, not in dominant fashion, aside from that game against Dallas earlier this year. But you've seen them consistently, play down to their competition, but consistently play up to their competition as well. And so for Denver, for me, I have issues with the offense. I think they're a team where yes, they got a week off. Yes, they have a great coach. I'm just concerned because they didn't really have much momentum going into the bye week. And so they could easily come out the bye week and be very stagnant. And for Houston, they have an all-time level defense. I mean, this might be the best defense they've had in franchise history. It's that good. I
Yes.
think that defensive line, it reminds me of 2015 Denver. I mean, that offense could be so bad, but the defense, if they play how they did last week, they can win it all just off defense alone. And I have Buffalo at 5. I just think momentum. I think they're going to win this week, for sure. And actually, Buffalo was my best bet before I ended up switching it later on, but we'll talk about that. And I just think, for Josh Allen, I trust him, but these top 4 teams, the one thing I'm going to say that's guaranteed, I think an NFC West team is winning Super Bowl this year, which is crazy.
I
I
agree.
think exactly. I think the Lombardi Trophy is going to be in the NFC West. All 3 of those teams are going to be the teams to beat because they're going to be the ones that make it out the NFC and guaranteed. And I have New England at 4. I don't know how New England is this dominant. The defense is great. They don't have any major weaknesses defensively. The secondary is good. The run defense is good. Offensively, they kind of lack in receiving talent, but we've been talking about it. Drake May, even last year, people that actually watched him, people that watched him in college, I mean, he got so much disrespect. People were making these lazy comparisons about Mitch Trubisky, even though Drake May clears him. And me and you both, we've advocated for this guy. And even last year, he made a bum receiving core look competent. And it's the same thing this year. I mean, he's making boom. Diggs fresh off of ACL. He's making Hunter Henry. He's making these guys look great. And
Yeah.
I just think the Russian attack, combine that with the variable and Drake May, I think the Patriots are better than all the teams underneath them.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, of course, he has Seattle at 1, the Rams at 2, Niners at 3. So as far as the top 3 goes, same top 3, just a bit of a different order as far as who we think takes it next weekend. But those are our power rankings. Of course, get down in the comment section below whose list is better and which do you agree with more. hey, even give us your list. But here's just a quick snapshot of our differences and our list in entirety. There we go. I struggle to say it, but we got there. You see mine on the left side, Amir's on the right. Slight differences, but definitely some that you could point out. And here we go. Divisional round best bets. We've done it all season long, and we were going to continue doing it going forward. We're going to make you some money, and I'm excited to do it. So if you're new around here, here are the credentials on the screen. Every single week, we've given out multiple player props as well as a game line, and we've had a lot of success this season. If you've tailed the picks, you're in the green. Now, what we are going to do is start with our favorite game line, and then we're going to go into our favorite player props. As far as game line, I'm taking a team that's at home, 2 weeks to prep, better coach, better roster, and they have revenge on their mind. I'm going Denver money line straight up. I think that Josh Allen, yes, he's great. Yes, he'll make it interesting. But if Bo Nix protects the football, Denver should win this game by a score. I'm going to take them at home to represent Mile High. Now, Amir, you're going with potentially the MVP. He's at home, and he has another good matchup in front of him. Run us through this one.
I'm going right back to the same spot. I'm going New England -2.5. And this is something where I've bet on this line a lot of times when they're at home at 2.5, and this is a game that I'm confident they should win. To kind of list off some of these notes, so they've won 14 games this year. Well, technically 15 if you include this playoff game, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, they've covered this line in 14 out of 15 wins this season. This spread, and I'm so confident in this game. What I saw from Houston's offense last week, I didn't like it at all, and so I'm back in Vrabel. I'm back in Drake May. I'm back in that Texans run defense, run game, and offense. And last week we just brought up, the Texans, they won 30-6 last week. It's a big time asterisk on that win. I mean, that win was ugly to start off the game, and then obviously that giant fumble six, the pick six. But New England, they're different. They take care of the football way better. Their offense can actually put up points, and so you won't see any crazy pick sixes or fumble sixes or just absolute garbage performance offensively by them. The only thing I'm a big concern about is their offensive line did struggle pass blocking last week. That can be a major issue, but
Yes.
I'm taking Vrabel and Drake May at home.
Yeah, I could definitely see like a 17-13, a kind of a game here where New England finds a way to score late and win the game. But two very talented defenses, and Drake May is going to have to do what he's done all season long and show up and show out. I would trust New England as well at home. Now, player props, I'm going to stick in that first game, the Denver Broncos and the Buffalo Bills. And when you look at the Bills, there's a lot more questions than answers on the defensive end. And yes, they played very good last week, especially Tre'Davious White. But all season long, they've struggled against number one wide receivers. I'm going to go with a line that's been covered in 75% of games this season. I think Sean Payton knows that he's not going to be able to run the ball well in this matchup. So he's going to have to get the ball to his best player, and that is Cortland Sutton. Over 3.5 receptions on DraftKings. I just think it's a lock. Last year in a blowout, he had 5 receptions against the Bills, but the Bills defense has taken a step back from last year. And again, I think with 2 weeks to prep, you're not going to be able to run the football. So getting the ball to your best outside threat is going to open up the game for this entire offense and make the job easier on Bo Nix. So Sutton to have a big day. I'm rolling with him. Amir, now you're going with a quarterback prop in this same matchup, and he only has 4 career interceptions in 14 playoff games.
Yeah, and I was gonna take this line last week, but I was scared about what I was gonna see from him. But I have Josh Allen and not throw an interception this game, and it's a big reason why I've advocated for him and I've glazed him these past years is because he's one of the greatest quarterbacks in playoff history. He's extremely efficient. What's crazy? Drake May threw an interception last week. I mean, Drake May turn the ball over in his first career playoff game than Josh Allen has since 2022. He
Yeah.
hasn't thrown a pick in the playoffs in 3 to 4 years. That's nuts. And I mean, even in that year in 2022, that's the year where he threw 3 out of his 4 career playoff interceptions in that run. He had a torn ligament in his throwing arm, and so I think this is a game where it takes care of the football. Like I said earlier, I think this is a game where they really get James Cook involved. They're really relying on him. It's going to be a lot of check downs. They're going to really target Kincaid, Knox, James Cook. Johnson has to be available big time for this game.
Yes.
Only thing that's a big concern. This is the most injury riddle his receiving core has been in the playoffs. And at any moment, it could easily be an easily tip throw, anything like that. But I'm going with the hit rate, and I'm going on my confidence in him.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't go after Pat Surtain, I think you're in the clear. But to add on to your last point, Ty Johnson over 1.5 receptions is like minus 130. I love that this weekend. He's covered that in almost every game this season as long as he's played, excluding the game against the Browns. So he's missed it one time. Ty Johnson, 1.5 receptions. It's sneaky. He's not a big name, but I love it against that aggressive Broncos front. Now, my other player prop is a bit weird, so stick with me on this one. We will have other props in the comment section below if he is not available on your book. But this is a line that's been covered in 87% of games this season. And when I think about this Patriots and Texans matchup, I see two of the top five defenses in the league. I see two offenses that have a lot of questions. I just think that the defenses are going to control this game. They're going to put their offenses in positions to succeed. And I think it's going to be a field goal fest. And it's really going to be who can score two touchdowns first, because I think that will win the ball game. So I'm going to go with the Houston Texans kicker, Kaimi Fairbairn, a veteran. He's been around a long time. He's played in a lot of playoff games. Over 1.5 field goals made. I think this offense is good enough to get past, the 50-yard line. And at that point, you're pretty much in range for Kaimi to have a pretty big day. I mean, he's had games this year with 4 field goals made, 6 field goals made. And again, he's only gone under twice this season, in which both he had at least one. I like him to have a big day to potentially win this game for the Houston Texans. Amir, you're going to go back to a big player on the Saturday night matchup between the Niners and the Seattle Seahawks. And look, it's late in the season, and this dude just has a knack for the end zone. He has 11 career touchdowns in 8 postseason games. Run us through this one.
I'm going Christian McCaffrey anytime touchdown. And
Love
I
it.
hate taking anytime touchdown plays, but I absolutely love this play. George Kittle's out. He's covered in 4 out of the last 4 games with George Kittle out. He's covered in every single playoff game as a Niner in his career so far. And last time, these two teams played, it was a slugfest. It was a nasty game, not much scoring. I think it changes here. I think Shanahan is a genius when the playoffs hit. And this is Shanahan's 3rd time playing this defense. I have confidence they're going to cook up something big time here. They need McCaffrey to literally get like 10 receptions. I can see him getting like double-digit receptions, completely eating the Seahawks defense up. He's going to get the ball on the ground, in the air, and I think he gets in the end zone at least once. I was actually going to replace this though earlier. I love Brandon Cooks over 2.5 receptions. I also love that as well.
Yeah, I want to throw this out there to maybe give you more confidence in keeping this as your pick, because even back in his days with Carolina, in every single postseason game for Christian McCaffrey, he has at least one receiving touchdown. So he actually has more receiving touchdowns than rushing touchdowns in his postseason career, which I thought was pretty cool. So obviously, when you get within inside the red zone, watch for those Texas routes, because McCaffrey's going to find a way to get open. But Brandon Cooks, I like that line as well. And we'll talk about it here, because every single week we like to give you guys a double your money parlay. So if you want to play it safe, don't take the straight lines we just gave you. You can put this in and you can double your money this upcoming weekend. Amir, run us through this play and potentially a change that you would like to make.
So, given the fact that it's going to be a complete ice ball game, I want to change this up. I'm going to leave it simple. I'm going to make a plus 138 parlay. I'm going to put Brandon Cooks at 2+ receptions and just take Patriots money line straight up.
I love
Patriots
it.
money line is at minus 170. Brandon Cooks, his receptions line is at 2.5, but at 2+ receptions, it's at like minus 270 or something,
Yeah.
and that's plus 138. I love both of those plays combined. I'm not even taking the Patriots spread. I'm taking Patriots money line straight up. Combine that with Brandon Cooks, that's great payout, and I love it.
Yeah, I mean, Brandon Cooks is forced to have another pretty big day. I doubt Pat Surtain will shadow him throughout the entire game. I'm sure they're going to have to find ways to get him in movement and create different matchups where he can create that big play for the Buffalo offense, because it's just not going to happen on Pat Surtain. But that's it, man. Episode 350. Divisional round is here. We're down to the Elite Eight. We're a less than a month away from this season being over, which is absolutely crazy to think about. But Amir, We're down to 8. Your thoughts ahead of this exciting weekend?
This is quite literally probably the first year of me watching football. Honestly, I'm not going to say the first year, but it's one of the only years where I genuinely don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
Like I seriously don't know. I mean, like I could see Buffalo getting smoked this weekend, and then I could see Denver flipping a switch and going on to win the Super Bowl just off the defense of Sean Payton. I could see the Rams and Sean McVay just turning up and just smoking everybody. I could see Kyle Shanahan finally getting it done. I could see Drake May in year two somehow winning it. I could
yeah.
see Seattle and Sam Darnold going crazy. I could even see the Bears just pulling off like some crazy miraculous run. This
If
is
they
a
have the
weird
offense
year,
to do it.
seriously, and this is a really weird year. Honestly, I have no idea what's going to happen this weekend.
Yeah, to go to your point, the first year I started doing predictions on the channel, I only missed one game. Like in last year, you and I missed under 3 each for the entirety of the playoffs. So I'm already at 2. I'll put it that way. So there's already games that I've missed this year, which pretty much matches my total from the previous years. Um, this playoffs, I'm happy that the parity is there. And like I mentioned, we're going to get a Super Bowl matchup that nobody would have expected in the preseason. So that is exciting. But that's it, episode 350. Thank you guys for helping us get to this point, and we'll be back next week.